I've been doing a lot of contemplating, spiritual deception, a lot of contemplating about discernment, and what I would consider to be a lot of deception or lies relevant to quote unquote spiritual things that have been fed to humans that don't otherwise know any better, because we don't have a frame of reference and we're not imbued with a foundation of truth to know about this spiritual stuff. And if you took in the monologue that I did about spiritual discernment, it really opens up a Pandora's box of questions about what's really out there pulling our strings. I know what we're given to believe. I know what they tell us. But I'll be honest with you, I don't actually see the evidence for it. Especially in my life. Do not see the evidence for it. And something that, as I'm sitting here this morning, just sitting quiet thinking, it started to come to me that there's all kinds of cliche type sayings that I think humans do not critically think about. They're feel-good sayings that people want to believe, that in a lot of respects causes the human to release or let go of their own will to control their own fate or destiny. Just trust the process would be one. Whose process? And why should I trust it? What's process? And how dare it force me into a process that I'm not told about as a conscious, sentient, awake being? You see what I'm saying? But trust the process. I would have to know what's doing it to me, what initiated the process. I'd have to know that it's actually good, benevolent, and all that other kind of stuff in order for me to trust it, in order to trust its process. Another spiritual type cliche saying that they say, that there are a couple of them, that I quite literally, in a little over 50 years of life, have never actually seen any evidence for. None whatsoever. Love conquers all. Huh. Really? Where's the evidence for that anywhere on planet Earth? Love conquers all. Or good conquers evil. Where on planet Earth do we have any concrete, definitive, verifiable evidence for love conquering all, or good conquering evil, or hey, trust the process? Cliche sayings, spiritual type sayings that, as I said before, I think allow or induce in the human a willingness for them to give up their own will relevant to directing their own fate and destiny. Here's another one that I just think is a complete, total bullshit cliche saying, possibly has a spiritual context or connotation. When one door closes, another one opens. I have never seen that ever in life. I have never seen that ever. Ever. And let me take that back. In some cases, I've seen that because I closed one door personally and I opened up another door by choosing something different. But the concept that this just magically happens for the human when one door closes, another one opens. No, it doesn't. It doesn't just magically happen. I've been alive for, kind of a while now, and I have quite literally never seen that manifest all by itself. Another one. I'm not kidding. I've been thinking about this shit for a while because of the amount of deception in this realm. This shit just starts coming to me and I start tearing everything apart. It's probably why so few people want to engage me, because if they're lying, deceiving pieces of shit, I'm going to analyze what they say. I'm going to look at the congruency of what they say versus what they do, blah, 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 because I'm the motherfucker that analyzes everything. When the student is ready, the teacher will reveal himself. Bullshit. Never seen that ever once in my fucking life. Never seen any evidence for that ever in my life. So I just wonder, you can think to yourself, oh, well, since you've never seen it, well, I've never seen love conquer all. I've never seen good conquer evil. I've never seen when one door closes, the other one opens. I've never seen when the student is ready, the teacher will reveal himself. I'm just thinking to myself, wow, all these cliche type sayings, these spiritual isms, or I don't know, lies, whatever they are. I've never seen it. There's no evidence on the planet for good conquering evil. There's no evidence on the planet anywhere that I've ever seen where love conquers all. The whole concept of trust the process says to me, whose process? What's process? And what gives it the fucking right to take the liberties of injecting this type of process into my fucking life? And why don't I know what it is? Think about what I'm saying here. But most people can't. Most people don't. Most people won't, because they're in a consciousness, a level of consciousness that is more like sheep, not thinking for themselves, not exercising their will to guide and direct their own fate and destiny. So it's really easy to believe this type of shit. It's really easy to believe these spiritual untruths, lies, deceptions, whatever you'd call them, manipulations. If I would have seen any evidence anywhere in life at any point in my life for love conquers all, that one wouldn't be on my list because, well, I had seen that for myself at some point along the way of 50 years of life. If I ever saw good conquers evil at any point along the way in my life in anything other than a Hollywood movie given to us by Jews to predictively program our minds into believing love conquers all, that's like from a Harlequin romance novel, or good always conquers evil, that's from like what, the Avengers movies and things of that nature where they show us fucking superheroes. When one door closes, the other one opens. I've experienced that not happening for me multiple times in life. When the student is ready, the teacher will reveal himself. No, that's not true. Never seen that happen. I've never had a quote unquote teacher enter into my life in that context ever. Now, have there been people that I have learned from, or that have, I don't want to say directly taught me things, but yeah, sure, there are people that I've learned from. But this concept, or the thing that they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will reveal himself. Bullshit. I have quite literally never, ever seen that or experienced that ever in life. And I think one of the biggest ones, one of the most ridiculous ones, when you just sit in contemplation of what I said yesterday about spiritual discernment, a lot of times the reason they say, oh, trust the process, just trust the process, because these supposed processes that are shoved up our asses, injected into our lives, are painful and unwanted. A lot of times they come out of nowhere. They destroy aspects of our lives, and we're not told. You know what I'm saying? So all of this spiritual influence, I think, is more spiritual manipulation, because they, whatever they are, have the ability and the capacity and the power and the willingness to absolutely fucking destroy our lives, destroy us, manipulate us, strip everything from us. I literally have experienced that, being stripped of fucking everything against my fucking will, and the efforts that I was putting forth, which were plenty of efforts, solid efforts to prevent that from happening, were just by something outside, neutralized, like, what are you doing, dumb? And it just neutralized. But trust the process. Trust what's process? What is it? Who is it? Where is it that's forcing me into a process? And if I don't know what that is, how in the fuck or why in the fuck would I ever be compelled to fucking trust its process that it is injecting into my fucking life without telling me? That's another thing about this whole spiritual realm bullshit that really fucks me up. They, whatever they are, and this is good or bad, malevolent or benevolent, have the ability to manipulate our lives, have the ability to fuck with our lives, inject themselves or their processes into the path of our lives. But they will never reveal themselves. They will never communicate with us. They will never do any of the things that a conscious, sentient, aware, knowledgeable, blah, 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 blah being would fucking expect. How is it and why is it that we're just supposed to submit and surrender all the time to this spiritual shit? Huh? Really? Again, more sheep consciousness. On the flip side of that coin, good luck stopping it when these fucking demons decide that they're going to inject something into your life, a process, or hey, a person that is a vile demon, a vile deceiver, a shitlord of a human being? Just trust the process, man. Trust what process? And see, here's the thing. I don't give a good goddamn if you are the creator himself, if you are a fucking archangel, if you are a spirit guide, if you are a fucking ancestor, or anything like that. If we conceive or perceive these things to be benevolent and on the quote unquote light side, these motherfuckers have no moral or otherwise obligation to be like, hey, need to sit down and have a little conversation with you, let you know that this is some stuff that's going to be happening, and here's why. It's going to lead you to this, it's going to teach you that, you blah, 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 blah. You're going to go through some pain. It's going to be painful. You're going to hate it. You might want to actually kick us, but if you can just trust something logical, something that makes sense. No, none of that. We just literally have to endure what I refer to as this spiritual manipulation by unseen forces that, when you really think about it, how fucked up is it? How profoundly hammered shit is it that they never reveal themselves, show themselves, explain themselves? Fuck, in the last 4 years, whatever it was that was responsible for this thing that I've gone through, nothing ever came to, and I mean, just in quotes, comfort me, help me, explain to me, drop me some answers, give me some insight. Nothing but trust the process. Wow. How many more of these cliche spiritual lies, manipulations, whatever they are, that I can't think of right now? Manipulate, deceive, or otherwise have an effect of causing a human to give up their own free will to guide and direct their own fate and destiny. Oh, but the spirits can see all the things that you can't see. Well then, how about they tell us? And what are the odds that they have the ability to manipulate, influence, impact, and affect our lives as profoundly as they do? And we never get a word out of them. So they have all that power to do all that manipulation and pulling our strings and blah, 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 blah. But we never hear a word from them. Nothing. I haven't ever. Like never. So what the fuck is it that we are actually believing? And how deceived are we being by believing such things? Trust the process. Love conquers all. Good conquers evil. When the student is ready, the teacher will reveal himself or themselves. When one door closes, another one opens. I don't see any evidence for any of that shit. And yeah, this whole trusting the process bullshit really, for me, just literally makes me nauseated. Because when you don't have a sense of what the fuck it is that's actually forcing a process upon you, and I don't, again, you know, even in the real world, if you have a son and a father, and the father is imposing something on the son to teach him for his own good, whether it's an unpleasant process or something that's not so bad, the father's going to be like, you know, the father's there. You can tell he's teaching you something. You're not sure what, but hey, at any point along the way, you can be like, Dad, what's this all about? Help me to understand. And Dad will be like, okay, let me tell you a little bit. You're going to have to figure some of this out a little bit, but you see what I'm saying? This is what you would think is normal, logical, rational, expected. And you're getting a little bit of basic human respect by your father who's being like, yeah, son, I got to teach you this, that, or the other. These are lessons you need to learn in life, whatever. Something that you would expect from, quote unquote, someone that loves you, someone that cares about you, someone that's trying to teach you something, even if the lesson may have some pain, some sting, or be profoundly fucking uncomfortable and unpleasant. But when it comes to the spiritual realm, have all this ability to fuck with our lives and do all the things that people know or believe that can be done by the spiritual realms. But never a fucking word. And then, for me, I had my life completely destroyed. Completely ripped the fucking apart, and all the things that any of you that have followed my stuff kind of know. But I'm supposed to trust the process. It's just fucking so offensively sickening to me. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just sitting here philosophizing about this stuff, thinking about it logically as well. And yeah, sometimes the energy in me relevant to this shit, you can tell I'm not all that happy or pleased about it. So it maybe sounds like I'm being negative, but I'm just appalled at how gullible humans are. It's appalling to tear apart and to analyze the things that a lot of humans believe and come to realize that there's absolutely positively no fucking evidence for that. And considering what happens to human beings on this plane of fucking existence, oh, we should be questioning everything. And there's no way for us to force them to reveal themselves, to tell us what they're doing, why, to give us any, there's no way to force them to do it. Think about that. I'm telling you, people, nothing is what we think it is. And nothing out there is what we think it is. Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Because our lives mean so little to whatever's doing this. There's no ethics involved with what they're doing. No ethics for interrupting the sentient human life. No ethics, no moral compass that says, maybe we shouldn't do this to this human being's life because, well, it's their life. It's theirs. But are they our lives, or are we just forced here to experience them? I mean, I'm not kidding with that. Some free will to make certain choices, but our free will is not what we think it is. And I'm really coming to conclude that these lives are not actually our own, that we are effectively the co-pilot, the crash test dummy with a nervous system and an endocrine system and the mind and the emotions. We are forced in here to experience this shit, and I don't know at what level or what point one has to get to where they become conscious enough to realize you are not in control nearly as much as you might want to think. That's soul crushing for me. That's the kind of shit that makes it so that I don't want to engage in life or anything like that, because we're puppets on strings. These lives are not our own. We are forced to fucking experience them, and we're put here and we don't even know how or why we got here. We don't know what put us here. We don't know. And then when you wake up and you begin to see the shit show that this place is, what happens to children, the cycles of war, pestilence, death, the resets where they cull billions of people at various times throughout our history. Oh, but trust the process. Love conquers all. Good always conquers evil. When the student is ready, the teacher will reveal himself. I've been teaching myself every goddamn thing. And then maybe life has been a very brutal teacher because it's a merciless motherfucker, but that's not really the teacher revealing itself. No, it's not. And then when one door closes, another one opens. Shit, I had a door closed on me in August of 2018 when that narcissist ghosted me. That shut that fucking door. And it's been almost 4 solid years, and not a solitary door is open for me. In fact, everything's been shut off, and I was left in fucking purgatory for a really long time. And then, cast into fucking homelessness over this shit of this global hoax. No doors have opened for me at all whatsoever. Just the door to my car when I get in and out of it to sleep. And occasionally, the door of a hotel room when I can acquire enough money to get myself into a hotel room. Oh yeah, doors really open when the other ones close. Yeah. I can't believe how fucking manipulated we are as a species. It is so sickeningly fucking violently repugnant to me to truly come to this awareness and align with it. It's why I don't trust anything out there in the spiritual realm. Not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Trust is earned. See? Trust is earned. And for us to be told or expected to simply trust spirit because it's a spirit, that's insanity. That's fucking lunacy. And quite honestly, I think it's irresponsible and childish and stupid and sheep-like. Just trust them because they're spirits. We're in a realm full of fucking evil. Just trust them. When none of them reveal themselves to us, none of them do any of the things that people want to believe that they do. And I'm saying this with a degree of certainty and confidence in the tone that I have, because I'm 50 fucking years old, which isn't the oldest in the world. And it doesn't mean I've experienced all things. It doesn't mean I know all things. But I'm a reasonably intelligent individual. I'm reasonably tuned in, and I've been grinding on this shit for kind of a long time. And based off of cause and effect, based off the evidence, none of this shit's true. None of this shit's true. And again, I'll just finalize it with this. Trust the process. Trust what's process. Trust is earned. Trust is built over time. And when you've never had a spirit entity or whatever establish a relationship with you, and you don't know how to establish that with something else, and yeah, you still have to figure out what's out there and connect with it, and then, trust builds over time. But us dumb little fucking sheep, right? Sheep are supposed to just trust the process. And when I look at what's happened to my life, it absolutely feels like, seems like, sounds like, and as far as my experienced reality is absolute and total and utter fucking lunacy to trust anything in the unseen realms. Because they don't reveal themselves, they don't show themselves, and I'm not talking in physical, but in some way where we can obviously and clearly figure it out, discern it, and understand what's happening, what's doing it. It's my spirit guide. It's a guardian angel that's protecting me. It's something. Having some kind of definitive fucking knowing so that we could have trust because we knew. Something like that. It does not work that way. I have never heard of it working that way with anybody else. I've never seen it with my own eyes, and I've never experienced it. So I really think that humans were intended to be the sheep that they're being treated like. And that's why all this shit is done. That's why all these sayings are handed to us. That's why people believe what they believe. And I think a lot of this is set up this way to entice the human to let go of their own will, to be directly responsible for guiding and directing their own fate and destiny. The whole idea that something is prescripted this shit for us, I don't know, for me that makes me want to violently retch. Because if you're going to prescript something for me, it'd be real nice to have the table of contents, a map, a guide. Oh no, trust in spirit. But look at what happens to humans on this planet. Look at what happens by the unseen forces. Look at what the unseen forces sit back and allow to happen. Or they're perpetuating the whole thing because these unseen forces are siphoning our life force energy and all this other shit, like the Lucifer. See, this is what happens when you start questioning things, humans. You start seeing the flaws in everything. You start seeing the flaws, the lies, the manipulation, the deception in so much of what it is that we're told and expected to believe. So anyway, that's what I got for now. Food for thought. You may agree with it, you may not. Whatever. It's just something to get you to think, contemplate, tickle your critical thinker, and think more deeply about things that I don't think a lot of humans think about. So take it easy, people.
This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is.